He's going to pace the field? Yep. Love it. Take a good deep breath. Get ready to roll here.
Only about one thing tonight, getting the W's, so got to be around the end to do that.
Get ready to roll tonight, boys. Let's go have some fun.
Don't get me any more fired up than I already am.
All the way to the checkered. You're fine. Nobody's got to run. Checker time, baby! Really proud of you, man. Drove your butt off tonight. We had the best car here, bud.
Yeah, boys. Way to rebound. Great job.
Great job, bud. Really good job. Appreciate you hanging in there with us all weekend.
What a weekend. Good job. Thank you.
Okay, welcome back to Racing in the Draft. Doing an upload version. Hopefully I can make this short, sweet, and to the point, since I won't be answering any questions in the chat other than, go ahead and leave questions in the chat, and if I see them and am able to during my drive, I will comment back. But I appreciate you bearing with me this weekend with travel and internet speeds and all that other stuff, but I wanted to get as much information out to you guys as possible. It's something I kind of made a promise to myself to do, and now that I've got a decent following here on YouTube, I want to make sure you guys got the information. So I appreciate you bearing with me. I'll be back in my home studio next week. So, all right, Chicago Street Course. It is a 2.2 mile, 12 turn, 75 laps. Dominator points won't be that big of a factor at 52.5, unless you think, realistically, what you're going to try to do is try to find the one driver that might start in the top 10 that's going to finish in the top 10 and potentially lead some laps. Dominator points are really more considered, I would think, bonus points than anything, because place differential and finishing position are the absolute way to go for this race. Either way, you can compare Sonoma, Watkins Glen, the Mexican Street Course or Road Course, the Charlotte Roval, and any other time they turn right and left as a option to look at for drivers. The Chicago Street Course optimal lineups from the last 2 years. Also, they are calling for rain again this year, 60% chance, and rain is definitely the equalizer. Last year, it took out both Kyle Larson, AJ Allmendinger, and SVG from last year's race. So it definitely can come up and bite even the best of the road course guys. Optimal lineup last year: place differential, place differential, place differential, and finishing position. 5 drivers, all starting 26th or worst, made the optimal lineup, and they all finished close to the top 12, including Daniel Hemrick at $5,100, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at $5,700. I mean, we had $8,800 left over. Now, that was a little bit of an anomaly because most of the expensive guys got taken out in the rain, but we kind of saw the same thing happen in 2023. We had, 5 drivers, all with place differential, everybody finishing in the top 12 once again. So it's realistically figure out who's going to be in the top 12 and have place differential or finishing position. The Mexican and COTA races from earlier this year, as we see the same, everybody's finishing in the top 10, 5 place differentials, 1, Dominator kind of led the most laps. I mean, SVG, look at Christopher Bell, went from 31st to 2nd, only led 4 laps, and outscored SVG, who absolutely dominated the race in Mexico, with 60 laps led, and finished in first. So place differential is absolutely king. Also, finishing position would be second, and third would be bonus/dominator points. But once again, pay attention to the points that are getting awarded, and that's going to be kind of where you need to draw the line, and you need to look at a driver, figure out how many points they may get or may not get, and does it meet the threshold. So I've kind of looking at the 53 to 55 point range for the more expensive guys. You can dip down into the 40s with some of the cheaper drivers, but your expensive drivers, they're going to need to get well above 50 points to be considered the optimal. Now, when we're talking about getting into the top 15 in points, that becomes a little bit different. You can get all the way down to about 33 points or more is kind of the average. And most, once again, looking at this, it's coming from place differential. It's, starting 21 through 30 or 31st or worst is over half of the top 15 in points being scored. So just kind of keep that in mind while you're building. It's place differential, place differential, place differential, and then finishing position. Because it's 45 points to finish in first. Well, that's you don't need a whole lot more than that to make the optimal, which is 55 points. So, but that's why it's so hard for somebody starting in first to end up being truly in the optimal, is because they have to start first, finish first, and probably lead at least 30 plus laps, because you get 5 or 6 guys that come from the back and score in the top 10, they're going to end up beating you. Either way, when we're looking at our comparisons, we are comparing the Chicago Street Course from last year, Mexico from earlier this year, Coda from earlier this year, the Roval at the end of last year, and Watkins Glen at the end of last year. Shane Van Gisbergen is absolutely the odds-on favorite to win this race. He's $12,000. Very expensive. For the Cup Series this year, that might be the most expensive driver we've had so far this year. It could become a little bit of an issue when we're trying to get in some other drivers who are starting towards the rear, and there's quite a few that have do pretty well on road courses. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're building your lineups, that Shane's going to eat up a lot of salary. Now, as we saw the last 2 years, we've had 1,700 and 8,800 left over. So you're not necessarily worried too much about pricing when it comes to it, but SVG is definitely going to eat up a lot of that pricing. SVG, 7th in practice, 5th in 5-lap consecutive average. Nobody did really a 10-lap consecutive run. There were some, but not enough to make it a comparison. I would say 75% of the field ended up doing a 5-lap run. So that's where we're kind of lining up. So it's the most comparable. But SVG, starting from the pole, he's just really good. He started from the pole in the Xfinity race yesterday and ended up winning it, and had to come through the field to get it back. He just is that good at these tight, narrow, no escape route type of courses. He's got unbelievable car control. Odds-on favorite, he's going to win this race. But the rain happens, engines fail, brakes fail, things happen, and it's tough at a $12,000 price range to pop that pole sitter in and ask him for a perfect day, because it may not end up being perfect. But I will still have a fair amount of ownership. I expect his ownership in Draftkings will probably be, when we sell the Mexican race, or the Mexico race, I thought he was going to be 50% more owned, and he only ended up being about 37 or 38%. Now, you definitely wanted him in your lineups because he ended up making the optimal, but there was a chance there for a little bit that he would not have made the optimal, because he would have fallen down to 5th or 6th, and he probably wouldn't have gotten out to a 14 or 15 second lead if cautions hadn't fallen correctly. Ty Gibbs had a pretty good control on the race until that caution fell. So it's anybody's race when cautions start to fall, and we'll see cautions. These guys get stuck inside those tire barriers. They end up hitting the wall and break a toe link and can't get back to pit road. We've seen engines explode. Denny Hamlin didn't even get through like 4 turns before his engine expired in practice. So things happen, and even to some of the best of the teams. So SVG, starting from the pole, he does have 1 win out of the 5 races we're comparing to, and he does have a win both in Cup and 2 in Xfinity here at the Chicago Street Course. Now, that's 2 out of the or 2 out of the 5 races that have been run, and I don't think he ran in the very first Chicago Xfinity race. So four times he's run this course, and 2 that he's won, and one of them he got taken out and finished 40th, which was last year's race. So very, very good on road courses. All right, if we're looking at what he needs to do, well, he needs to start in first, finish in first, have 10 fast laps, and lead 24. Now, all of those are his averages, and that's where we think he may end up finishing. If we're going to take him, he needs to finish in first, and that gets you to 55.5 points. He leads any more laps or any less laps, it's still going to be close to that point total. So he meets the threshold if you think he's going to finish in first. If he ends up, let's say he still has a good day. Let's say he still leads the 24 laps. Let's put him on the calculator and let's move him down to 5th. Well, that takes him down to 45.5 points. That probably takes him out of optimal range. That leaves him in the top 15 in points, so it's not an absolute bad play. But at $12,000, you've eaten up so much salary that it's going to be tough to get to the next guy. So SVG, it's definitely you think he's going to lead a third of this race and finish in first. Now, what happens if he finishes third? I mean, that gets a little bit closer, but at $12,000, that's just a huge price tag. So I'm going to have, I'll still have lineups with SVG in it. Oh, my screen's all screwy. Why is my screen all screwy? I don't know. I don't know, you could still tell. All right, it's just when I zoom in like that. Okay, so when I go to the calculator, it gets screwy. Things we learn when we are on the road doing these weird videos. Okay, so that's SVG. If you think he's going to finish in first, then put him in your lineups. If you don't think he's going to finish in first, don't put him in your lineups. That's pretty much the gist for SVG. Kyle Larson's a little bit different of a story. Starting in 14th, he's got a little bit of place differential opportunity. He is good at road courses. He has not finished fairly well at Chicago so far. He finished 39th when he and SVG actually wrecked last year. So it's, it's anybody's game. I mean, he's got an average finish at the last 5 road courses of 24th. And, I mean, one of those was last year at Chicago where he finished 39th, and he finished 38th or 39th in Mexico. So 2 of those races, he didn't even finish the race. Well, I guess he did finish Mexico, but he was, 45 laps down. Pretty much didn't finish the race as far as Draftkings is concerned. So keep that in mind. He was 15th in single lap. He did not get to a 5-lap consecutive run. I guess they were just making adjustments on the car throughout practice and never had a consecutive run. Either way, what does that mean for Kyle Larson on the chart? Well, if he finishes his average 20th, which he's currently kind of running at for road courses, not good, 24.5 points. And that's even if he goes out and leads 12 laps. Now, if we think Kyle Larson is going to be a top 5 driver, let's put him on the calculator. Let's get all screwy here with my video. Yeah, sorry, I can't change it or fix it right now. You just have to bear with it. The information's there. So let's move him down to 5th. But I don't think he leads that many laps. Let's give him 5 laps just for... That's 53.75. So he's going to need to finish at least 5th or better. I mean, a little bit easier of a hill to climb. Why is that there? Go away. Okay, all right. Yeah, 5th or better for Kyle Larson and leading a couple laps. But let's say he doesn't lead any laps at all. What does that end up doing to his total? And let's say he's only got 5 fast laps. That's 50.25. So he's pretty much going to need to finish 3rd or better. So top 3 for Kyle Larson without leading any laps would probably get him real close to optimal lineup range. And at $10,500, that's a $1,500 savings from SVG. I mean, that's the biggest price difference between any of the drivers. So just kind of keep that in mind. I mean, Kyle Larson has the expertise to go out and easily win this race. He hasn't done it yet so far, but will this weekend be it? It's going to be tough to beat SVG, to be perfectly honest. Also, there's some other drivers who have excelled at Chicago prior, but the 48 car out of Hendrick did end up winning this race last year. And I think Kyle Larson is as good, if not better, than Alex Bowman on road courses. Alex Bowman's kind of a sneaky type of road course racer. He just doesn't. He's sneaky almost everywhere because he just kind of quietly does his thing and ends up usually getting top 10s. Christopher Bell, our next driver in line, 10,200, starting in 13th. His practice speeds were okay. 19th in single lap, 20th in 5-lap consecutive average. He does have 1 win out of the last 5 races. That was at COTA earlier this year. Was it COTA this year? Or is it the Roval? I can't remember. Either one. But he does have 1 win, 3 top 5s, 3 top 10s, 4 top 20s, an 11.2 average finish. He finished 37th in this race last year. So, once again, all 3 of our most expensive drivers finished 37th, 39th, and 40th last year in this race. Anything can happen. The most expensive drivers got taken out last year. Maybe the rain will be the equalizer. Kind of like Kyle Larson, we're kind of sitting in the same boat. We're 10,200. Price is very similar. Starting spots are 1 spot different. It's going to be, can Christopher Bell make it up to a top 3 at that price to get into the optimal lineup? Let's check this out and see. Third with 5 laps led would be a 54.5. Well, let's take him down to 0. It's 53.25. So definitely a top 3, along with, an SVG who may end up winning the race. So can Christopher Bell or Kyle Larson be a top 3 driver today? I mean, they've won on road courses before. They're worth a shot. A lot of the ownership is going to get pulled towards SVG and our next driver here, William Byron, who is $10,000. But as we've talked about this whole video so far, place differential, place differential, place differential. Well, William Byron ended up hitting the wall on his last practice lap and ended up not qualifying and making repairs to his car. His car is going to be fine, but I think he broke a toe link or bent a toe link, so they just skipped qualifying, made the repairs, and will start from the rear. Well, his problem became our gain probably, because he will be one of the better drivers coming from the rear. We've got quite a few of them, but $10,000 for William Byron starting in 38th. He was 2nd in single lap speed on practice, 7th in 5-lap consecutive average, but he's got a lot of room to run here. 2 top 5s in the last 5 races, 4 top 10s, an average finish of 11.2, and he finished 8th here in Chicago. It's not going to take a whole lot for William Byron to get to that point spot that we need. In fact, with only 1 fast lap, no laps led, if he can make it to 12th, that's 57.45, and that outscores all 3 of the drivers we've already talked about, and only finishing in 12th. So can William Byron get up to 12th place? It's a little easier of a hill to climb compared to the last 3 that we've got, but once again, just because he's really good, he's still got to come to the field, and if it ends up raining, that becomes a real potential problem, as we saw in Mexico earlier this year when Kyle Busch wheel hopped and took out 3 of my drivers that I was hoping to have a good race and ended up not having a good race. So William Byron finishing in 12th will definitely easily get you there. How far back can he go? 13th would still probably be there. So a top 13 for William Byron puts him in the optimal lineup. He is expensive at $10,000. So once again, you have now, if you take William Byron and SVG, you now have 22,000 of your 50,000 already spent, and you still have 4 drivers to go. And our next driver, Tyler Reddick, at 9,800, starting in 4th, was decent in practice. Not a lot of place differential, so Tyler Reddick is absolutely a play of you need him to win to have it pay off. 9th in single lap, 10th in 5-lap consecutive average. He did finish 2nd in this race last year, so he's very decent on road courses. The whole 2311 team has had its struggles this year, so kind of keep that in mind. He's bitten me more than he's helped me this year, but his average finish of 12th definitely only will not do it. It's 24.65. Well, if SVG wrecks and Tyler Reddick is able to survive and get up to 1st and only lead 3 laps, well, that still doesn't quite even cut it. That's 49.65 points. And at $9,800, that becomes kind of a tough, that's a real tough hill climb. He's going to need to lead more than 3 laps to get to that 55. He's going to probably need to lead 20. And when you've only got 75 laps, that's going to be tough. Let's see, 20 gets him to 53.9, so he's going to need to have probably 5 or 10 fast laps. It's really, really tough. I'm probably going to be a fade on Tyler Reddick. Chase Elliott, 9,500, starting in 39th. So we've got William Byron at $10,000 and Chase Elliott at $9,500, both starting from the rear. And we're not done yet with guys starting from the rear. And an SVG at $12,000. You now have $18,000 left approximately for your last 3 guys. Well, that's $6,000 or less per driver. There are some drivers back there that have the potential capability, so I'm not saying that the lineup is impossible, but you're asking SVG to finish in 1st, and you're asking Chase Elliott and William Byron both to get it into a top 13 spot. The easier spots are Chase Elliott and William Byron, but once again, be careful because I think they're going to be 45% owned. So it's very, very chalky to keep them in play. Turn this off real quick. Okay. So just kind of keep that in mind. If he makes it up to 9th, which is his average right now for road courses, that's 65.9. And a top 13 will easily get him there. Ty Gibbs, next in line here at $9,300, finished in 3rd in this race last year. And he and SVG both had great speed at Mexico earlier this year. Starting from the 9th position, once again, we're just dealing with numbers here at this point. If he gets up to 3rd where he finished last year, does that going to be enough? He was 4th in single lap and 2nd in 5-lap consecutive average for practice, so not bad. Let's take him up to 3rd, where he got last year. And if he leads 8 laps, it's 50.8. Not quite enough to that 55-point range, but right on that edge at $9,300. And that's leading 8 laps. So, once again, anybody starting in the top 10, if you're going to take them, you have to think that they're going to win. And even winning it gets you just on the positive side of that 55-point threshold. So kind of keep that in mind. It's just very, very tough because we just don't have enough laps for dominators to come into play. And this is even with Ty Gibbs leading 8 laps. So keep that in mind when you're building your lineups. SVG or AJ Allmendinger, our road course ringer, $9,000 starting in 16th. We got a little bit of room to run. This is a play very similar to a Kyle Larson or Christopher Bell. Starting in 16th. He finished 38th in this race last year. Once again, one of our road course guys not having a good weekend last year here at Chicago. The rain is the equalizer. It's amazing. He was 17th in single lap, 18th in 5-lap. It's pretty much where he qualified. he has not performed super well at these courses. He likes to have a little bit more room to use up the track, to say the least, and use some of the extra parts of the track. It's just that's who AJ is, and with this track being so tight, it's just really, really tough. So starting in 16th, like I said, this is going to be a play that's going to be very similar to Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell. He's going to need to probably finish top 4, and no laps led. Takes him to 53.35 points. Well, at $9,000, that's close, but once again, it's probably going to be a top 3. So to run the Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, or AJ Allmendinger, you need to have the mentality that they need to finish in the top 3. All capable of doing it, but keep an eye on the radar, and if it really looks like it potentially is going to rain, be careful. If it does look like it's going to rain, then everything kind of becomes more equal. But as we saw in the Xfinity race yesterday, there's still lots of calamity. The course is just really, really tough. Alex Bowman, our winner from last year at Chicago, and most of that was strategy. I mean, he's not bad at road courses, but that was absolutely a strategy play. $8,800 starting in 11th, and he was 11th in single lap of practice and 11th in 5-lap consecutive average, and he's starting in 11th. I mean, 11th is, I mean, it might as well be a top 10 because he's going to need to finish first for the points to make sense. Let's pull the calculator up here, and we go to first. It's 56 points. Second gets you 52 points. So it's, I mean, will you still have a decent day with Alex Bowman finishing in second? Yeah, probably. And at $8,800, it's a little bit more affordable. But, you know, if he falls to fifth, I mean, he's still making the top 15 in points, but he definitely is pulling your lineup down if you have him. He falls to 8th, and it's almost out of optimal range. So kind of keep that in mind. It's such a heavy place differential, and finishing in the top 5, really, of a type of race. Chris Buescher, 8,600, starting in 8th. He was 8th in single lap, 9th and 5-lap consecutive average. Pretty consistent. And once again, starting in 8th, I mean, Chris Buescher is really, really good at consistently finishing in the top 10, and he did win at Watkins Glen last year, where he battled SVG at the end of that race. If he finishes in 11th, it's only 30 points. That doesn't even make the top 15 in points. But, I mean, he has shown that he can beat SVG. But even finishing in first, starting in 8th, if he just leads 4 laps, it's 53.9 points. And that is price that probably puts him in the optimal lineup. But if he misses that by a little bit, it's 49.4 points. If he falls to 4th, it's 45 points. I mean, it's not an awful day, but it's not a great day. We're going to keep cruising here because at some point I need to get this video uploaded, and I don't want it to take 2 years to upload at really slow speeds. Michael McDowell, 8,300, starting in second, 5th on single lap, 1st in 5-lap consecutive average. Michael McDowell is really good at road courses. He won the Indy Road Course in 2023. He has 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, 5 top 20s in the last road courses. He's got probably the best average finish of 8.6. Very consistent. He finished 5th in this race last year. Michael McDowell is absolutely somebody who could upset the field and win. I will have a little bit of ownership in Michael McDowell. I will not pair him together with anybody else in the top 10. I'm only going to run one driver in the top 10 for my lineups. And I'll probably have at least one driver in all my lineups in the top 10 that start in the top 10. I'll have a couple that are strictly place differential, but most of my lineups will have at least one driver starting from the top 10. That's just consistently what it's shown at road courses, is that one of those drivers is going to start up there and stay up there. But Michael McDowell easily, the whole thing is if you're building the lineup, it's got to be that he's going to win the race. So let's just change that to a win. Now, even at that, it's only 46.95 points. It's not going to be enough. He's going to need 20 laps led, maybe. And fast laps, he'd probably get 5 if that's the case. And that's still only 53.25 points if that ends up happening. At his price, he's probably going to need to be at that 50-point range and not at the 55-point range. But that's still, I mean, that's on a razor's edge. That's him leading 20 laps and finishing in first. So it's tough. It's tough to score points when you're starting up front. Ross Chastain, 8,100. Starting in 22nd, he finished this race in 22nd, so he's picking up right where he left off last year, starting where he stopped. He was 10th in single lap, 17th in 5-lap consecutive average. Ross is decent at road courses, but he's not great. 16.6 average finish. He's only got 1 top 10 in those 5 last races and 3 top 20s. Starting in 22nd, not great. If he gets his average finish of 16th and leads 10 laps, that's probably not going to happen if he finishes that far back. It's 34.35 points. That just takes him into the top 15, but not even close to being in the optimal. If he makes it into a top 10, it's 47. That's getting closer. He's going to need to finish 7th, at least 7th or better to be what I would consider somebody that I want to put in my lineups. Now, he's not out of the question by any means. He has done extremely well at being consistent in the top 10. And, I mean, 7th, he's got to finish a little better than top 10, but he definitely could be somebody that we could put into play. The problem is, if all of a sudden you have taken Chase Elliott, William Byron, SVG, I'm not sure you fit a Ross Chastain in there with anybody else. Just the math is going to get real wonky, and it's going to be tough to fit all the guys that we want to get in there. Chase Briscoe at $8,000 starting in 5th. He only has 2 top 10s in the last 5 road courses or street courses that we're comparing to. 19.2 average finish. He finished 32nd in this race last year. I know, different team. But his practice speeds were not great. So starting in 5th, I will probably be a fade off of Chase Briscoe. And for him to get close, I mean, he's going to need to finish first and then some. What does that do? First and 3 laps led. Takes you to 50.65. So it's doable, but once again, only if you think Chase Briscoe is going to win. He falls to 2nd, and that dream goes away real fast. All right, Austin Cindric, $7,800, starting in 27th. Cindric is actually really good at road courses. 14.4 average finish. For his total career, it's a 14.5 average finish. He finished 15th in this race last year. He was 28th and 24th in practice speeds. So not great practice speeds, but most of the Penske guys didn't have great practice speeds. They also didn't qualify very well. So it could be a little bit of a uphill climb for the Penskes. We saw the same thing happen in Mexico, and they didn't finish that well there either. But if he gets to 14th, which is his average, it's 42 points. 14th's not going to quite cut it for us. How far up the leaderboard will he need to climb? Not leading any laps and not having any fast laps because he was pretty darn slow in practice. So if he gets a little lucky and there's some carnage and he's able to make it through the field, he needs a top 10. And that's kind of what I expected. That'll get him to 51 points and it's $7,800. If you can fit him with the other guys, then it ends up being in play. Next in line, Kyle Busch, our quiet, sneaky road course guy, starting in 6th. Once again, for DraftKings, that's probably going to be starting up too far. He was 25th in single lap, 19th in 5-lap consecutive average. He finished 9th in this race last year. He does have 3 road course wins in his career, but nothing in the next-gen era. So kind of keep that in mind. He has definitely struggled with spinning out, and it seems to be it gets really hairy for him when there's bumps in the track. and this track has lots of bumps. We'll put it on the board here and kind of see, because he showed speed at Coda, but it's a much wider track. It's just a little easier to drive. I mean, if he finishes in first, it's 52.9 points, leading 8 laps. But if he finishes where he starts, it's 40.9. That barely puts him into the top 15 in points. And once again, it's $7,700. If you're planning on taking 3 of those high-priced car drivers, including SVG, it's definitely going to be a tough one. That's why I think some of the ownership is going to come down on SVG. So keep that in mind. Daniel Suarez, 7,600, starting in 18th. Doesn't have a top 10 in the last 5 races we're comparing to. He just got mutually agreed to leave Trackhouse at the end of this year. Sometimes that motivates the team. I know Daniel's probably going to be motivated to try to go out and sell himself on getting a ride for next year. But honestly, most of the rides are taken for next year. So, I mean, Daniel's either going to have to drive probably for an Xfinity team or potentially drive for like a Rick Ware or one of those, because I don't really know of anybody retiring anytime soon. So he's definitely hunting to try to get that win. A win will definitely help, but I just don't think there's much space out there for anybody. So he may end up being over at Junior Motorsports and taking Connor Zilich's place, because Connor's taking his place at Trackhouse, is what it looks like. Daniel Suarez, 7,600, starting in 18th. He's going to need to finish top 5, probably, to be in consideration. That's 52 points. Top 7 might cut it. Not really. So really, it's a top 5 for Suarez. That just seems to be a tough pill to climb when you're 34th in practice and 18th on qualifying. So probably going to be a fade on Daniel Suarez. Ryan Blaney starting in 17th. No top 5, 2 top 10s in the 5 races we're comparing to. He does have 1 road course win. I think it was like Daytona during the COVID era. He finished 10th in this race last year. It's just kind of a little bit of a tough hill to climb for Ryan Blaney. He's not the best road course racer, but he is pretty consistent. Typically keeps the car under him. He did do the broadcast yesterday in the Xfinity race. That was kind of interesting to listen to. No, it was AJ. Sorry. Blaney was Blaney? No, it was AJ. Sorry, I was driving and listening to it. But a 5th place finish for Ryan Blaney would definitely put him in the points that we need. 7th probably doesn't cut it. So top 5 finish for Ryan Blaney would be somebody I would look at. I'm not sure I love that play. There's other drivers starting in that range that are, I mean, they're a little more expensive, but Will Brown, God, he looks like Christopher Bell. $7,300 coming out of the Supercar Series in Australia and New Zealand. Good buddies with SVG. This will be his 2nd start in the Cup Series. He finished 31st in the first outing. He was 12th in single lap, 23rd in 5-lap consecutive average, starting in 19th. It's just, I mean, the other Supercar driver yesterday that was in the race just was miserable. I'm not expecting a whole lot of Will Brown. I'm probably going to be a fade, even if he gets to a top 15, which I think is going to be a tough hill to climb, because he's not shown the speed that SVG showed when SVG showed up at Chicago. SVG was top 5 in practice. It's 32.9. You can take him if you want. He's going to need to finish in the top 8 to be in the optimal. And, you know, I mean, if there's a lot of carnage and he's not involved, then maybe. Carson Osavar, 7,200, starting in 3rd. Team Chaos. This might be the guy that goes in and takes out Michael McDowell and SVG and himself in the first 2 laps. Could, maybe, won't, I don't know. It's Carson Chaos Hocevar. Anything is possible. He's got an average finish of 17.2 on road courses. He did not have a good Mexico, but he qualified really well, and that's going to be a real tough one to climb. If you're looking for completely off the wall pick, say Carson Osvar is going to win, get away from SVG, and then you could probably fit a ton of place differential in. But honestly, I think Michael McDowell is a much better driver than Carson Osvar on road courses. Not that Carson's bad, he's just team chaos, and he tends to overdrive, and overdriving this course will bite you very, very quickly. Those walls come quick, and there's no way to escape. So he needs to finish first, plain and simple, to be in the optimal lineup. Thought process. Denny Hamlin didn't even make it, I think, 4 turns before his engine expired and blew up. Yeah, that's not a good deal for Joe Gibbs Racing. Makes everybody a little unnerving, to say the least. How you literally pull off the truck and blow an engine before really even hitting the gas. He did not race in Mexico because of the birth of his child. Other than that, he's got 1 top 20 out of the last 4 road courses that he's raced in. 22nd place average finish, starting in 40th. Now, he's not going to have to do a whole lot to get close to the points. And once again, this is another driver. You've got Denny Hamlin, William Byron, and Chase Elliott. The latter 2 are much better road courses than Denny Hamlin, but, I mean, this is all place differential. I mean, literally at $7,100, Denny Hamlin's going to have to finish 20th or better. It's literally just stay out of trouble, don't hit anything, don't blow up, and he can get a 20th. And that's at 43 points. He's going to need to probably get to like 18th, and that puts him in that 45-point range. And at $7,100, he's cheap. So he's going to have a ton of ownership. Just beware. Joe Logano, $7,000, starting in 12th, 36th in single lap, 26th in 5-lap consecutive average. I think he outkicked his coverage in qualifying. He's not that good at road courses. He's got an 18.2 average finish for the 5 races we're comparing to. It's too much of an uphill. I'm not even going to put him in the calculator. You can see here, if he gets to 17th, it's 21 points. Brad Keselowski starting in 15th, 10th in single lap, 6th in 5-lap consecutive average. Not bad, but his average finishes are even worse than Joey Logano's, and he's starting in 15th. I think he kind of he probably kicked his coverage. He probably finishes 15th. But finishing in 19th is only 20.45 points. And if I get the calculator to work here, he's going to need to finish top 7, which, I mean, Brad could be a little bit sneaky. At least he had some decent speed in practice. And they've shown better speed as of recent. So I don't mind Brad Keselowski at 6,900 starting in 15th. It's going to be sneaky. It's not going to be highly owned. It's going to be probably less than 10%. So Justin Haley, who battled SVG at the end of the inaugural street course, that was probably his best road course ever, because his average finish since then is a 22.4. Total 27 starts at road courses at a 21.4 average finish. I honestly think it was a little fluky. He was also racing in colleague equipment, which was pretty much set up by AJ Allmendinger. And ever since he's left colleague, he's definitely struggled. So, I mean, starting in 28th, he's got room to run. He's going to get some ownership because of that really good finish he had here at the street course that one year. But I'm telling you, that was mostly being tutored and coached by AJ Allmendinger. And he doesn't have that tutor or coach. Now, he does have Michael McDowell, who isn't quite as good as AJ, at least over the long course of the history, but Michael McDowell is still pretty good at being a road course racer. Can it help Justin Haley? Maybe. They're still just struggling with growing pains after losing the crew chief. If he gets to 22nd, it's 26 points. He's going to need to probably finish top 8? No, not even that far. Top 10? Top 10 would probably put him in there, or just right outside. Oh, that's starting 22nd. I need to fix that. That's the reason why it's wonky. 28th, 10th would definitely put him in the optimal lineup. I think he can go to 15th. Yeah, 15th would be probably pretty close for Justin Haley. That's doable. But like I said, he's going to have a little bit of ownership. He's not super sneaky, But it's not a bad play at $6,800. So just kind of keep that in mind. Is he at 6,800? Yeah. Next in line here, Corey Heim did not qualify. Catherine Legg ended up beating him in qualifying, and because we had 41 drivers qualifying, somebody had to go home, and Corey Heim bent his left toe link during the first lap of qualifying, and from that point on, he was not fast. So Catherine Legg's going to steal that spot from him, and I don't have a Catherine Legg to talk about in this video, so I don't have a Josh Blicky to talk about in this video. I mean, you can run them because they're starting so far back, but I'm not really that interested. Ryan Preece, $6,600, starting in 7th. I think he way outkicked his coverage. The RFK guys have been good. Ryan Preece has been good at road courses so far. Been fair this year on road courses. But he's still a 23.4 average finish on road courses. He's not known for his road course prowess. Starting in 7th, average finish in 22nd. That's a whopping 5 points. I don't have much interest in Ryan Preece. I think he could probably get maybe a top 10, maybe a top 5. So we'll put it on the calculator so you can kind of see what that ends up doing. If he gets to 5th, it's 41 points. He's going to need to finish top 3 to get to 45. So it's just a real uphill climb when you're starting in the top 10. Ryan Preece he doesn't have to win to make the optimal lineup at 6,600. That's the nice thing is there is a pretty large price savings. And if you're looking at trying to be different, Ryan Preece will be sub 5% or less owned, would be my guess. Todd Gillen, $6,500, starting in 20th, 22nd in single lap, 25th in 5-lap consecutive average. He finished 7th in this race last year. Remember there was some attrition and some guys that ended up going away, but 4 times in the top 20. So, yeah, at 6,500, I think it's a much easier uphill climb compared to Ryan Preece. All Todd's going to need to do is get to 10th instead of 3rd. And that'll put him real close to being in that lineup. And I think Todd Gillen might get overlooked a little bit because our next driver was fastest in practice, and he's starting 37th. $6,400, Bubba Wallace. He's going to be somewhere between probably 40 to 50% owned. Between him, he's cheap enough where you can start to fit the SVG and Byron and Elliott. And I'm not sure you could fit Hamlin in there also, because then I think you have to maybe go down to Catherine Legg. Does that play? Maybe. You're asking for a lot of weird things to happen, and none of it happening to these other drivers for Catherine Legg to end up playing. But he was fastest in practice for single lap, 6th in 5-lap consecutive average. His average finish at road courses is now a 14.2. He's actually really started to come along at road courses, and starting in 37th, he got a long way to run. It's a top 20 and at 6,400, and he's going to be right there knocking on the optimal lineup door. Whoops. All right, 16th. Yeah, he can. 20th is probably too far down. 18th probably puts him really close. So top 18 for Bubba Wallace, top 20 for Denny Hamlin, and they're probably going to be in the ballpark. $6,300 for Austin Dillon, starting in 10th. Way outkicked his coverage. 28.6 average finish at road courses over the last 5 races. He was 29th and 19th in practice. I'm not even going to put him on the calculator because he would have to win this race. I guess he's kind of like Ryan Preece. He could finish 3rd at 6,300. He's not going to be heavily owned, but he's not good at road courses. Ryan Preece might be better at road courses than Austin Dillon. Next in line here, John Hunter Nemechek, starting in 25th. He was 24th in single lap, 22nd in 5-lap consecutive average, 23.8 average finish. Oh, not good. But he's playable, especially at 6,200. He's got a little room to run. If he gets to 17th, not quite, 13th, close, he's going to need to finish 11th or better. Very possible for John Hunter Nemechek to do that, but his average finishes just are not great. Now, they're running much better this year, so it is possible. Cole Custer starting in 23rd, who actually ended up having a really good run down in Mexico. And he's got a 15.5 average finish on road courses for the two races we're comparing to, which would be Mexico and COTA. So, not bad. I think it was a deal where he ended up having a really good starting spot on why he finished well in Mexico, and he was able to miss some of the melee in the back. I'm probably going to be a little bit of a fade on a Cole Custer because I think he might have a little more ownership than he deserves. But if he gets to 16th or better, that probably puts him in the top 15. He's going to need to get to the top 10 probably to be optimal lineup discussion. At 47.45, he could probably even go to 11th. Would put him on the outside or just in the optimal lineup discussion. So you can run a Cole Custer. I don't know how sneaky he's going to be. Zane Smith at $5,900, starting in 26th. He finished 17th in this race last year. 12.2 average finish for the 5 races we're comparing to. He was 15th and 12th. I mean, all these guys are playable. They're going to need to finish in the top 12 to kind of be in the optimal lineup discussion. And it's very plausible. They've got some room to run, and they're cheap enough that they do fit. Eric Jones definitely fits at 5,800, starting in 34th. Ton of room to run. He's going to need to, I mean, at 5,800, you're almost talking 45 points or maybe even 43 points to get into that optimal lineup discussion. I think the lowest we saw in optimals was like 42 points. His average finishes have not been great, though, so it's a little tough. Starting in 34th, finishes in 22nd, doesn't cut it. He's going to need to finish 15th, probably. 15th or 16th would do it for Eric Jones. We said 42 points, so he could probably even go down to 17th. 18th is going to be too far. Yeah, it's 17th or better for Eric Jones. So keep that in mind. If that's where you think he can get to, which he can, he's probably going to need a little help. He's not the best at road course racing. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. actually is fairly decent at road courses. 20.8 average finish for the 5 races we're comparing to. Only 1 top 10, 3 top 20s in the last 5 races. That's pretty good. Starting in 32nd, he's got some room to go. He struggled a little bit in Mexico, and then Carson Chaos Hocevar decided to just help his day out even more. So, will we see payback today? I don't know. Maybe. He's definitely in play. A top 20 gets him to 35 points. It's very similar to Eric Jones. He's going to need to probably finish 17th to get to that magic number. 15th gets him definitely there. 17th, he might even be able to go down a little bit further than that. 19th? Oh, he's not starting 37. He's starting 32nd. So it was probably about 15th. 15th will get him there. 16th will be right at it. So 16th place or better finish for Ricky Stenhouse. I definitely like the Ricky Stenhouse shape play. I think he can pair well with Eric Jones, along with an SVG, Byron, Hamlin. That might actually end up fitting. Don't have time to do the calculator right now because I need to get this video uploaded. Josh Berry, 5,500, starting at 29th, 27.2 average finish. Not interested at all. I'm not even going to put him on the calculator because it's 17 points. Noah Gregson ended up bidding a toe link in practice or during qualifying, which ends up meaning he will have to go to the rear. He's also starting at 24th, so not great. 19th place average finish. He'll have a little bit of room to run, but Noah, if you also remember, was in the Wendy's car in the first race and hit the tire barrier, I think, not once, not twice, but 3 times. In fact, he buried it so deep in the tire barriers it took him like a month to find him. Austin Hill at 5,300, starting in 30th. He's got 1 finish at 31st in this race last year. He, even after the Xfinity race, said yesterday, he was like, I just don't know how to win these things. And that's in the Xfinity car. This is a whole nother beast. He's got some room to run. He probably won't have a ton of ownership, so he could be a little bit sneaky. Eric Jones or Ricky Stenhouse will probably get some of that ownership. And if you're looking to save a little bit of money, and it might be in play. Riley Herbst starting at 21st. I think he's starting too far up. I don't think he finishes much better than where he started. And it's just I think he's starting too far up. If he's starting 31st, it might be something to look at. Ty Dillon starting in 36th. Yeah, 30.5 average finish. I mean, he is racing for Colleague. They do bring good cars. There's room to run at $5,000. I don't necessarily have a problem with taking some Ty Dillon, but also understand he's going to be the price savings that everyone's looking for. So he probably will get ownership starting in 36th. Same thing with Cody Ware starting in 35th, because all they're going to need to do is finish top 20, and maybe even less than that. Let's see, how much does... This will work pretty much the same for Cody Ware, so we'll have to do Cody Ware also. If it gets to 21st, it's 36 points. That's not going to be enough. 17 points definitely gets in there. 18th is right there on the cusp at $5,000. So 17th or 18th place for both he and Cody Ware, since Cody Ware starting in 35th. Those numbers both apply, and at $5,000 and $4,800, they could definitely kind of get their way there. I probably have more faith in Ty Dillon getting there than Cody Ware, but Cody actually is not he's a decent road course racer. It's more of the equipment that he's in. All right, so real quick, I mean, highly owned guys are going to be William Byron, Chase Elliott, Austin Cindric, Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin, Blaney, no, Zane, maybe. I could, in the $6,000 range, you could go Zane, you could go Cole. Todd Gillen's a little bit on the tougher side. Justin Haley at $6,800 might be a little expensive for his starting spot. Stenhouse Jr. probably absolutely will have a decent amount of ownership, and I don't mind that. Eric Jones, Cody Ware, guys we just talked about, are the ones that I like. Either way, I'm going to get this video uploaded to you guys. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Enjoy maybe the final road course in downtown Chicago. Maybe next year we go to Chicagoland. Much better racetrack. All right. Thanks, guys. Good luck. Bye.
Gentlemen, start your engines. 40 cars coming to life.
Can you still take the field? Yep. Love it.
Get a good deep breath. Get ready to roll here.
Only about one thing tonight, getting the W, so got to be around the end to do that.
Get ready to roll tonight, boys. Let's go have some fun.
Don't get me any more fired up than I already am.
All the way to the checkered. You're fine. Nobody's got to run. Checker pass, baby! Really proud of you, man. Drove your butt off tonight. We had the best car here, bud.
Yeah, boys. Way to rebound. Great job.
Great job, bud. Really good job. Appreciate you hanging in there with us all weekend.
What a weekend. Good job. Thank you.